Yeah, yeah, yeah. Show me some. Show me some. Show me some.
Good day, madam.
Fair.
How are you? And what are these glasses today? What do we have? Do we have maroon? Oh, look at you. These are actually different.
These are a different one, actually, and
They're totally different. They're not just the lens caps.
these are real glasses. These are like, so I didn't want to throw you off or whatever, but these have like that transition lenses and the whole 9 yards. So
yeah, you're definitely throwing me off without the cap on them. But buddy, today, like, again, I say this like all the time, and I just feel like our podcasts are just getting better and better and better and better. And then we're attracting people, maybe, if you will, like our guest today. And this is like a don't miss. This is going to be put on repeat over and over and over again to just kind of understand what this gentleman is about to say and about to pour into us. But I don't even really know how to introduce him, Miranda, like from the standpoint of like, if you think of like just an absolute giant in the industry and everything that he's accomplished, from, building up a company from ground zero and then cashing out, right? Getting a check for tens of millions of dollars to kind of like, that's what we all dream of, right? The American dream is building it up, selling it, and right. And then got back into the insurance space, and I think he's even back on the board with that. And then today, one of the founders of Quility, what are they? I think over $1 billion valuation, projected to be a multi-billion-dollar valuation. Like, how do you and I get somebody of this statue on our call? Right? So
I think it was a lot of what were we drinking in Banff that night when we asked Brian to come on?
Oh, it was Louis the 13th. Louis the 13th. He's like, John, I think you owe me one. I definitely owe you one. Just as long as we keep it to that like 1 to 10 ratio, Brian, I'm totally okay with it, man.
That was a fun night. That trip in Banff was incredible. Like, oh my goodness. Yeah, that was fun.
It was so awesome. But
good times.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the one, the only Brian Pope on with us. Brian, what is up, dude?
Hey now. Good day to you fine people.
Good day, sir. So Brian, you've accomplished so much in your life, and you continue just to kind of, we watch it, just kind of reinvest your time back into this business to grow it, evolve it, and make it what it's turning into. Obviously Brandon, Casey, Meredith, you guys are just pouring blood, sweat, and tears into this thing, and we're grateful for it, man. But this podcast isn't about that, right? This podcast is helping kind of that newer agent, right? That I just don't want to suck at sales, Miranda Martin. And so I don't know how to do this, Brian, but like, if you were an agent starting today, what is some advice that you would give to just a brand new agent on how to kind of best propel themselves, how to have like the absolute fastest start, kickstart their agency, or kickstart, themselves like up off the ground? And
so how to not suck, right? Like,
right. And we can reference, it's like, hey, look, if you're walking into a sales presentation, like, here's one of the things that I've always found to focus on that has made me successful. Or again, there's so many things, right? Like, my big thing with that, Brian, is like, I'm a big why guy. I'm a massive why guy. Like, if you can really get down to the nitty gritty as to how their life is going to unfold, if God forbid one or the other doesn't come home, like, that's it, right? Because there's logic in there, there's emotion, and people buy on either logic or emotion. When you have merged the two together, that's your recipe for success. Or it could even be the phones, it's like really kind of tying certain things down, listening for weaker language. Like, what would you say is one thing that like a newer agent should focus on so they just don't suck at sales?
Well, there's a few things. So I'll kind of rattle off what I've learned in 36 years. Okay. Right. First thing is commit and decide what you want for yourself and your family, and don't allow the ups and downs, emotional ups and downs, deviate your plan, right? Or deviate you from your plan. That's a really important one. Of course, don't quit. You can't get good at anything if you quit, right? So that's a big one. But making a decision like, this is what I want for my life, this is what I want for my family, and always go back to that. And then get somebody that supports you in that decision, because there's times you want to quit. I've felt that way. I think we all have. And when you have a supportive partner, spouse, or just even running buddy, when you have those down periods, talk to them, right? And they'll support you in reminding you why you started doing this. So that's kind of fundamentally important. The next thing is be consistent with your effort. Results are never consistent, but they become a lot more consistent when you put in consistent effort, right? I'm a big believer in being regimented, right? So be regimented and disciplined in when you're going to work and when you're not. Don't just run by how you feel. Your emotions will really mislead you, but commit to, this is the times I'm going to work, and I'm going to focus, and I'm going to buckle down. One thing I would recommend, because I think the things I'm going to tell you to do, there's just equally important things not to do.
Right.
Don't over prepare. Jump in. You're going to learn the fastest by doing things. You're going to become better by doing things. Surrounding yourself with people that you can watch and mirror, who are successful and good at what they're doing, right? So don't feel like you need to know everything. Don't feel like, you're going to make some mistakes. An example would be, we have all heard this. Babe Ruth led the league in home runs. He also led the league in strikeouts.
Yeah.
Right. So getting up to the plate, the more you get up to the plate, the better you're going to get, the faster you're going to get. And what happens is, the other thing that happens is you get conditioned. You get conditioned to this isn't, maybe because if you're new, you're not comfortable. You're talking to strangers all the time. There's all this rejection. That's just part of the business. You get immune to that after a while. I mean, wouldn't you both agree? Like, it gets easier and easier. The more you do it, the easier it gets.
100%. I tell people that all the time. Like, look, I won't even work with you on your presentation until you've sat with 50 families. Because by that time, you got that weirdness out, you got all those bugs out, you got all that just jitterness out, and like, you're going to fall into like kind of who you are. And that's, of course, just as long as you know the script, but like the back of your hand. That's one of the worst things that people can do, is just kind of wing it. It's like, no, there are words on that piece of paper for a reason, right?
Yes.
I won't. You're 100% spot on, Brian. And I love what you said there too. It's like, it's really like, what is success? Success is kind of like all about going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm, right? And so that's what you're talking about, is don't allow those emotions to kind of dictate what you're going to do throughout the day. That's so good, buddy.
Yeah, and lean on your support crew, your upline, your peers. Lean on them for support. They've all been through it, right? There isn't anything, anybody watching right now, there isn't anything that the three of us haven't been through that you're going to go through. We've been through it. Everything you're going through, we have been through. And I got news for you. The bigger your organization gets, the faster you grow, the better. It's going to be, you're still going to encounter a lot of the same things, but you're going to be prepared to deal with them, especially emotionally. The other thing I will tell you is, remember that when you're talking to people, they're just people. Okay. This isn't some sort of audition, okay, of which you don't want to do something wrong. Don't worry about it. They're just people. The people you're talking to, that you're trying to help, are just people. Talk to them like people. And then the last thing I would say, maybe not be the last thing that comes to my mind, but I'll finish with this. And that is, the faster in your presentation you can get an understanding of what these people want, the faster you are, and the more likelihood you are to make the sale, which is ultimately there to serve and help these people. Does that make sense?
That's cool.
And the other thing is, the other one I especially notice with younger agents or newer agents, is they're afraid of objections, right? You want objections, because what they're telling you is, this is what I don't know that's going to help me to make a decision, a positive decision for this situation. You want objections, okay? Objections are leading you to a sale. Avoiding objections, what that's going to do is that means that there's something that they're not telling you that you need to know to overcome.
Yeah, like if they're sitting there with their arms closed, they're not asking anything, they're probably not that interested, right? Like questions are a sign of interest. About the commit and decide though, the first thing that you said, like obviously you've like had so much success in your life, like starting off like selling insurance, just like all of us that are listening to this. What's like one of the first things that you would recommend, or something that you did where it was a commit and decision, where every day when you woke up, you said, this is what I'm going to do. This is why. Like, what was that conversation with yourself like?
Well, it took me a long time. I mean, I was not a fast starter. I was a very slow starter. Okay. And I'm going to say within 10%, it was about maybe the 9th or 10th year where when I got out of the bed in the morning, I knew exactly what I needed to do. Okay. I knew exactly what I needed to do. Now, as a newer person in this business, you don't have the luxury of certain things that I do or you two do. Okay. The straightest line in this business to success is being 100% focused on helping other people get what they want. You don't have to worry about yourself at all, right? Now, you can do that with your customers. The straightest line to helping them get what they want is to first ask them, okay? I mean, for me, my presentations got shorter and shorter and shorter because I would sit down with somebody and I would say, Miranda, so when you knew we were going to have this appointment today, what did you have in mind when you set the appointment? And because I don't want to waste a lot of your time, I want to help you the way with which you want to be helped with. And a lot of times, in fact, I would say the majority of the time in sales for me, especially when I really understood what I was doing, the majority of the time they tell me, right? They would tell me straight away, this is what I was thinking. This is what I want to do. At that point, you have a sale. Yeah. You might have some little speed bumps and everything, but you don't have a brick wall. Sometimes they really don't know. I'm worried about my family if something happens to me. I'm worried about this. I'm worried about that. And that's a conversation starter that's leading you to the information that they care about. Because I got news for you. If you go in there with the approach of, unless you really specifically know, right, by lead type or something like that, unless you specifically know, and you go in there with something that you think they want, you can get way off base. And pretty soon you get that blank stare, you get the arms crossed, you get they've checked out. Right?
I love that.
So my conversation starters with customers, and I don't care if they were worth $100 million or somebody, digging ditches for a living, was when we set this appointment and you knew we were going to talk, did you have something in mind that you wanted to talk about? Yeah. And look, I can't tell how many times I'd walk into a home, because that's how old I am. Back then, that's the way you did everything.
Or somebody's office machine with you.
Yeah. And I would say, when we set the appointment, what'd you have in mind? And they would throw an illustration in front of me and they said, this is what we want. And I'm like, okay, well, how come you didn't buy it? The other agent never called us back. That happened a lot, believe it or not. And at that point, you know what I did? Reached in my briefcase and pulled out an application and started writing. Yeah. Right? Here's the thing. If somebody tells you what they want, write the app. Okay? You could, and you think that maybe that's not adequate or the right thing for them, you can always come back around to that later. Right? That's, you can always call them and say, something was bothering me when they set the appointment. I want to come out and discuss your insurance policy. You can always go back out there with something else.
But that initial trust.
Yeah.
I like that. I've never heard that before, ever, Miranda. It's always like, people are going to tell you, like, there's 3 different things, right? It's like, they're going to tell you what they want. It's what you think that they want. And then somewhere in the middle, right? Whatever they can agree to on price. But like, from that perspective, Brian, it's like, I could see it from a psychological aspect. It's like, here's what they want. Just give it to them. Like, if you can give it to them, just give it to them. Who cares?
See, I was trained by really, really good trainers. And I'll tell you this, the people that are buying insurance today are buying it for the same reasons they did 100 years ago. They care about somebody or something. It could be a business. It could be a business to ensure that if something happens to me, that I got people that can take the business over and buy it for my family. And there's a lot of uses for life insurance besides just mortgage protection or term. But my point is that just ask them, like, what if they say, I don't know? Well, what's concerning you? What are you concerned about? Listen, this is the best part. These few questions will lead right to the sale. But instead, what happens is we want to get all trained up and then go in there and dazzle them with our knowledge. Right. They don't care. They care about what they want. Yeah. And that's all they care. They don't care to make friends. I mean, there's nothing wrong with rapport. They got enough friends. They don't need more friends, right? So being friendly is a good thing, but they want you in and out of there and get their needs satisfied with what they want as fast as possible. Believe me.
I love it.
And one of the lines that you said, Brian, that I loved was, I don't want to waste your time. Yeah. And it was just said in a very like firm, but like friendly way. And people appreciate that. They don't want to have their time wasted. And it almost puts you in a position of strength. So like a brand new person could be like, listen, I don't want to waste your time. And they automatically sound like they're the authority. That was really good too. In addition to all the other nuggets, of course. But
yeah, I mean, the I don't want to waste your time part of it is really out of respect and the approach of, I'll help you if you need help, if I can help you, if I can get you what you want. Otherwise, I'll tell you that and I'll be out of your way.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of the things that I really hung on to in the beginning is like, look, you know, there's just a few different ways that this can kind of come back. And, you know, I want to let you know whether I think this is a luxury or necessity. And I promise if it's a necessity, I'm going to be the first person to tell you just that. And I will be out of your hair faster than you can kick me out.
Yeah. The other thing I want everybody to understand too, is nobody cares what it is. They care what it does.
That's right.
Right. You do not have to, like, if you're selling an IUL, it's a little more complicated than a term.
Sure.
They don't care how it works, right? They care what it does for them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's so true, right? People do things based off of kind of that greed, right? Greed, not necessarily need, but it's greed. I want to know what it's going to do for me. All right, hold on. We're at just over our time here, but I think we need to bring Brian back for a part 2. Miranda, what do you think?
Do it.
We got to dig into this brain just a little bit more, and hopefully we can, Brian. But my goodness, man, thank you so much. And Miranda, I say we bring him back for a part 2. Part 2, Brian, part 2. Brian, are you in for a part 2?
Absolutely.
Yes. All right. Listen, you guys know what to do. Click, subscribe, like. I don't know where the hell I'm pushing these buttons, but do it somewhere with me.
Might be listening to you on Spotify, so they're probably, I don't know, like if
that's true. I think actually, like, all of our listeners really come from Spotify. So
oh, really? Okay.
Follow, subscribe, or whatever it is that you guys do. Share it, please. Share it with the world. Thank you guys so much. We are beyond grateful for how quickly and wildly this thing is spreading. And just means that we're giving you guys some pretty decent content. And with the man that we just had on here, and he's coming back for part 2, it's only going to get better. So thank you guys. Miranda, what should they do?
Guess what? I actually met a lot of people at conference that listen to the podcast. And I said, the one thing that you can do, if you're going to listen to the podcast, you just can't suck at sales if you listen to it. It'll make us look bad, right? So that's where I'll leave it.
All right.
See you guys next time.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Show me some. Show me some. Show me some.